If your cold emails are not performing at the moment, the first thing you should look at is your lead list. A lot of times people look at their copy, they start changing subject lines, start changing their copy. But the main thing I've seen across 500,000 emails I've sent and 900 sales opportunities I generated is that the main issue is usually with the lead list. And if you get this right, your copy is going to be way easier to write, and you're much more likely to succeed with cold email compared to someone who writes the perfect copy and perfect messaging, but their lead list is not in place. So let's get right into this video. I'm going to show you my entire framework of crafting perfect data lists, which I believe are the number one thing that makes my copy works really well on cold email and my campaign sprint meetings. And so I'm going to go over my entire framework, everything that I'm doing that is currently working, and how to win in 2026 with cold email by making the perfect lead list. So here's just a quick slide where you can see my results. I've sent in the past 12 months 551,000 emails, and I've generated 908 sales opportunities. So the stuff I say actually works. If I didn't know how to make good lead lists, my copy would have probably gone to spam and I wouldn't have generated all of those leads. So here are the 4 things you need to look at when you're making a lead list. So the first thing is make sure you're targeting the actual budget owner. So let's say you have the perfect solution, the perfect thing, the perfect everything, but you are not targeting the budget owner. I can confidently tell you that your results are going to be down by at least 80-90%. The best case scenario is that someone will forward your email to someone who actually has budget power, but most of the time it's better to target higher and make people refer down instead of targeting like a software engineer who will refer this to the budget owner. If you don't, someone who doesn't have any purchasing power will likely not answer your cold email. So make sure that you are actually targeting budget owners. The second thing is the size and geo. So a lot of time I see people making lead list and they are saying, let's target 100 to 500 employee companies. But a lot of time their solution is like $5,000. And I can tell you that I personally closed deals that are in that dollar range and have been paid by 10 employee companies. So unless you're absolutely sure that you need to target mid-market companies where your response rates are going to be way lower and finding the actual right person is going to be way harder, and basically breaching into that market is going to be harder than reaching to SMBs, don't just target bigger companies because you can, because your results will be worse. Only target mid-market companies if your solution actually requires it. So if you're selling something that is only a couple $1,000s, 10 to 50 employees is probably your sweet range, and you don't want to go higher than that unless it's absolutely required. Because usually in the 10 to 50 employees, you're going to get 2 to 3 times more results with cold email. And if you target the founder or CEO, he's going to be in charge of everything. So it is going to be relevant to that person if your offer actually fits those type of companies. And because of that, your chance of success is way higher. So unless you're selling really expensive stuff for bigger companies, try to keep the size of the companies you're reaching out to the smallest you can. Another important thing to know is that geo plays a massive role. And I don't want to be racist, but if you're going to target in specific regions I won't mention, and specific countries that you can probably imagine, you might get responses, and you probably will get more responses compared to targeting high budget geos. But I can tell you for sure that a 500 employee company from certain countries will not pay you anything compared to a 10 employee company in the US. So make sure that your geo is intact and don't just blast the entire world, because if you want to actually get buying customers, target countries that have money. And this is a very important thing in your targeting if you actually want to make sales and not just positive replies in your cold email campaign. The third thing, which is extremely important, is that when you actually get a list from Apollo, AI Arc, Zoom Info, all of those solutions, make sure that you use AI and you filter out the bad fit companies in that list, because the original list is going to be probably at least 50% not qualified and not relevant. And it really depends on your ICP. If you're targeting every CFO at every company and you have some fintech solution, then sure, blast everyone. But if you're selling to specific verticals, the more specific it is, the less likely your list is going to be relevant. So just pull a broad list and use AI to filter out the bad fit companies. That's the method I'm using, and I can't tell you how much it improved my campaigns, and it's going to improve everything. It's going to make sure your copy is relevant. You can go way more specific in your copy without sending irrelevant stuff to irrelevant companies, and it's going to make sure you don't go to spam as much because people are less going to report you because your copy is more relevant, and it's just going to improve everything significantly. So I highly encourage you to do that step. And the fourth thing, which is extremely important, so don't just write copy and then take your list. Get your list and then write your copy. So let's say you're offering marketing services, and let's say you pull a list of 10 to 20 employee companies that are in financial services. So make sure that in your copy, and you can use AI to do it. I personally use Claude Code and other LLMs like that. You can just take that list and tell Claude Code, listen, I want you to segment it to sub lists, and for each sub list we can make specific copy. And let's say you have 5 different case studies, match each lead to the more relevant case study for its specific use case. And when you do that, your copy is going to stand out from your competitors, and that's why you need to get your list first and then write your copy, and don't just write your copy and hope it fits your list. And another thing that I see constantly happen in 2026, a lot of people complain cold email doesn't work anymore when it actually does. And the main thing is because of AI, people don't know how to use AI. They make AI write their copy, which feels like this crazy new thing where you're getting all of those personalized first lines and all of that bullshit. But AI will not fix a bad list. If you did the inverse of getting your list and then writing your copy, and you started with writing your copy, it doesn't matter how cool your copy is going to be with AI, it's not going to make the actual messaging work. And because of that, don't just get distracted with AI. Make sure that you get the fundamentals right, and then you can add AI on top. And don't mix up the steps. Start with getting the good list, then make copy for that list, and then see how you can use AI to improve it further and personalize it further. One thing you should know is that when you're targeting budget owners, make sure that if you're up to 50 employees, almost all of the times, if it's related to saving money or making money, CEO and founders are going to be the best fit role for you to target, and they're going to be the most responsive, and they're going to be basically the best role to target under 50 employees and up to 50 employees. That's something I've seen across many campaigns, and I highly encourage you to test it yourself. And when you're targeting 50 plus employees, you just need to understand who is the budget owner at that company, at that size, for your specific solution that you're aiming to pitch. And make sure that you don't target people who are not budget owners, and make sure that you try to avoid security roles and people that are instinctively not trusting of cold outbound, because your response rates are going to be way lower. And that's something I've seen across my campaigns. The more technical the role, the less likely they are to answer, but that's also for your consideration, depending on what you're selling. A good mental model to have before making your lead list is answering this specific question. If this person replies yes, can a deal start? If no, delete. This person is not relevant for a cold email campaign. And if yes, obviously add them to your campaign. So to conclude this, your cold email is probably fine. Your messaging, like with Claude Code and all of those LLMs today, the problem is usually not the copy, it's probably your lead list. So start by identifying who is the budget owner for your solution, then target the right size, ideally the smallest possible if you want to get deals moving and you want to get people to respond to you. If you send to a 5,000 employee company, they are way less likely to answer your cold email than a 50 employee company. So that's extremely important. And also make sure that you target rich geos that can actually afford your solution. And then when you have your raw exports, that is a large size file with 10, 20,000, 30,000 companies, make sure that you remove all of the agencies and or the non-relevant titles and non-relevant companies that are not your ICP. And then when you have your final list, craft your copy and make sure that you are sending a message that is relevant to the people that are actually in your list, and not the theoretical people who you want to reach out that are not in your lead list. So this is my entire framework, and it's working very well for me. And if you want it done for you and you want someone to actually make your lists, reach out on your behalf, book your calls, and make sure that you are actually getting qualified sales opportunities in your calendar that actually show up. We handle everything from the first email sent to the actual meeting happening. And if they don't show up, we reschedule and we take care of everything. So if you want that done for you and you have a high budget because we are not cheap, you can book a call with me and we'll talk with you soon.